Morning from Phoenix, Arizona, and it's pretty late at night in India right now. We have on call with us today Pearl and Archana from My Choices. We are very fortunate to have them. They have been doing tremendous work in this, and this is Tanushree from HerRights. So today we wanted to talk about domestic violence. Comes amongst the top five issues affecting women globally, whichever country you are speaking. We have previously spoken about work done by Arizona State University and several different groups. We have talked about an app called My Plan, which has been sponsored. We have shared some work in which domestic violence in Baltic countries has been looked in. It's called intimate partner violence in that research that we talked about. But with the coronavirus crisis, domestic violence with the lockdown has actually worsened. July 2nd, there was a report out of UK which said there were 26 women and girls dead because of domestic violence worsening. And then we have seen similar discussions out of France and India also. My Choices has been working on this field for a long time. So I will just start by asking Archie and Pearl. So you guys have been working since 2012 in this field, and you created a model called Peacemaker Model, and you have counselors whom you train who work with clients. And tell me a little bit about it. Why did you guys think of that model? Exactly what these counselors do, and how do these women get access to these counselors?
Uh, Now, why the peacemaker model? Because we know that women who are victims of domestic violence find it very difficult to talk about their abuse. It's very hard, and even if she chose to finally talk about it, she would talk to someone she trusts, with whom she can confide. And therefore, we realize that we need to find these women whom the victims can trust. And therefore, we came up with this model where we identified women from different communities who signed up with us to be peacemakers and whom we trained extensively over 2 weeks. And then they started actually creating awareness about domestic violence and then encouraging women to come and take help. And once they chose to take help, they would bring them to our center where we have experienced counselors.
The counselors, especially in the domestic violence field, is altogether a new field, because if you try to talk about relationship counseling, where in that relationship counseling both the couple have decided to work on the relationship, but here in domestic violence counseling, only mostly the woman approaches the or seeks help from an NGO or any other facility. So, and we cannot be having some statements or based out of a society where we do not have gender perspective, crime perspective. So the counselors are trained actually on the counseling aspect, all the micro skills. But apart from that, we train them on the Domestic Violence Act too. Now, what is Domestic Violence Act? Domestic Violence Act 2005, which came out in India, it is an act exclusively, it's a civil act which is exclusively there for the woman, where in this act, the psychological, emotional, sexual and economic abuse is also considered as domestic abuse. Because earlier it was only physical violence which was termed as domestic violence. But now all the other three components, the emotional, the economic, the sexual, is also treated under domestic violence. And when a client approaches My Choices Foundation, we, the counselors at My Choices help her in her journey. So we don't allow her to take any drastic steps which she is not ready for. She might come in that emotion, but we help her how to handle her triggers of abusive incidents at home, how to manage her partner if he continuously abuses her. There are people who have never ever imagined of or taken the courage to talk to a policeman. So we help them take baby steps as to how to seek legal and protect police help when in need. We also help them how to deal with attachment issues, because mostly you understand in the domestic violence, the factor is all about they want to end the abuse, they don't want to end the relationship. So but they're stuck. They don't know how to release themselves. So there are several aspects of it. I've just touched upon 3 or 4, but this is actually a 12 parameter Johns Hopkins model, where first we enable the client to understand that what she's going through is domestic violence, and then we prepare her to take the next steps as to uh, uh, even if she is in this relationship, how to start questioning when things go wrong. And thirdly, we also prepare her to see a life in case she stays in this relationship. Now how her boundaries need to be maintained, and in case she leaves this relationship, what's the preparation she needs to do. So this is one kind of a preparation we try to bring about. Fourthly, then we talk about the action step, where she needs to take certain actions. If this kind of abuse must end, so certain decisions have to be made. She needs to seek sanctions and stand by the legal procedures. And fifthly, we call this as a maintenance stage, where even if she lives in this relationship or leaves this relationship, she should know how to maintain a situation where the counselor had prepared her for. She might be better prepared how to handle challenges. She would not get back into this abusive situation again just because of a sorry, or just because her parents are not accepting, or just because of the situation which was inconvenient for her to settle down. So basically, we are helping her not to get back into an abusive situation.
Thank you, Pearl.
Yeah,
When I
Tanu.
was speaking to you and Archie earlier, you touched upon a few points, but I just want to just briefly mention for everyone who is listening in here. You guys have a very holistic approach to it, right? You have counselors, you have a liaison with the police and the legal, so that if a woman comes, she is directed appropriately to a woman's officer or a woman's police station, and then she basically is directed to your counseling. You guys also have a shelter home
Yeah.
and all of those verticals in place which will help them. One question I had, I was listening to you, one of the things probably becomes very pertinent for domestic violence is even if the woman identifies that okay, this is an abusive relationship and she has decided a path, economic independence or economic sustenance becomes a problem, especially if there is not that much support system around. What do you usually see when the women are coming in this way, and how do you advise them, how do you direct them, how for you know, leaving a relationship or taking a step where they might be dependent? Does the law sanction anything for that? What happens in that case?
Yes, we do provide a lawyer for such type of clients. And under the Domestic Violence Act, which I have mentioned, we have some reliefs. This is called a maintenance order, a protection order, compensation order. We have
Residents.
a residence order and ex parte order. So under this maintenance order, the lawyer would help our client to seek some maintenance from her husband in during this relationship. Not just seeking maintenance from the husband, we also encourage the client. As I said, we prepare the client. So in case a client has never worked earlier outside, so we build her self confidence, and we also ask her to upgrade herself, even if she has worked earlier, to upgrade her skills. So what are the job oriented skills she can look for while she is actually waiting on the platform to take off? So we actually tell her that this is the way. If you prepare, there's very less chances that you will feel depressed when resources are not available to you, or a tightening of resources, because even the maintenance, by the time it starts coming from through the legal procedure, it might take time. And also would like to tell you, Tanu, we have understood that these glitches do happen to the client. So we developed small networks, I mean, who can help a client to get a job or have a small database. But from our own, from the My Choices, we developed a small fund called the Lotus Fund. It's very short, but we enable the client, even if it is to just meet her rental expenses, or something which she wants to do a startup, a small gift so that she can kickstart, and that motivated a lot of our clients. I mean, not many, but definitely whomever we were able to help from the Lotus Fund, it encouraged them a lot, Tanu.
That's fantastic, actually. That is very, encouraging to hear. And I just wanted everyone who follows HerRights to know that uh, finding my choices was a blessing for us, and we will keep this relationship alive. We have several different areas where we think we can work together. But continuing on this discussion, uh, Pearl or Archana, there are two practical problems or things that common men and women might struggle with that I wanted to uh, make a little bit more apparent for people who are listening. One is, often when a husband and wife is fighting and things get very heated, there is this idea, irrespective of whatever culture you are talking on, hey, this is normal anger versus when has it become abuse. So in very, I don't think it's that black and white that I don't know that can be expressed that way. But do you guys have any, with through this model that you follow and the intensive training you have, what are some pointers you use where actual physical violence hasn't happened, between to distinguish between an abusive relationship versus people are just extremely angry at each other?
Yeah.
Very good
uh,
question.
yeah. Tanu, see, it's very clear that earlier domestic violence was always treated as physical, and the society still believes it. So first is we need to raise this awareness for the society that domestic violence comprises all the four, and no more. And this is a myth that domestic violence is a private matter. I mean, it's a family thing, and none of us are supposed to interfere in it. So even this is broken when the Domestic Violence Act says this, then it is already a crime. Now, thirdly, coming to another point is, when do we understand that it is normal anger and domestic violence? As two individuals, I mean, as two friends also, we will definitely have differences of opinion. I mean, it's not all rosy all the time. It could be two colleagues, two sisters, two friends. But in domestic violence, there is a pattern, and this is a regular pattern. I mean, you will see during our training. I mean, uh, interview is a short time to explain this, but during our trainings we tell them how this pattern can be observed, and when they can understand, because most of the time after a very abusive incident, suddenly the husband comes with a gift to the woman, and the woman will be just contemplating to file a case or complain to the police about this incident. And when that gift is received, suddenly she she decides not to file a complaint. So we call that as a honeymoon phase. So there is a tension building phase, there's an explosion phase, and the honeymoon phase also. So this goes around in cycles, and the woman can never get a moment to break up out of this. And the neighbors around, or we staying in an apartment or a family, even we come across a situation like that. I mean, I had a situation like this one or two occasions in my own apartment. So what we try to do is, if it is physical violence and we are hearing it very, very clearly, I mean, we understand that there is physical violence, I think we need to take the support of the committee, a group of people, and go and approach, even if it is in the middle of the night, because we have to call out that behavior, and not just to make a big show, but to say, hey guys, we've been listening to something and we're concerned for you. So our voice, our intonation, our intention is not to shame the person, but to say that, do you guys need help? I mean, it's becoming too much. In another situation, might be there is not a violent act like that, but we hear some of our friends who are continually sharing about their abuse, but there are no noises and no explosive situations. I think those clients have to be built up in a small little way through psychoeducation, what we call that. So they may not be willing to come for a counseling session, but we can send short snippets of information. Dear, what you're going through is called abuse. I know he loves you, but this is not the supposed way it is to be handled. You should have difference of opinion, but with respect, where you're equal, you're treated equal. So these are the small psychoeducation material which has to be sent to the client, or built in the client in small little ways successively. As I said, only then, when we're trying to do an intervention, it stays. Otherwise, Tanu, what happens is, suddenly, imagine we want to help someone, and I go and knock the door, and that person says, uh, and the lady says, "Why are you interfering?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
are you?"
actually, yeah, 100% Pearl. That's the situation. I think even my sister has shared with me. This is very common. A lot of people share that you hear and you are very much in the fear for the life of the woman. Sometimes it goes so bad and there are children crying. But, if you knock on the door and even if you say very kindly, although, it obviously depends on what the words used are, but the woman herself says, no, 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 I don't need any help. Or
Yeah,
it's like, it's perfectly fine. Or one of the approaches that I often hear people advise is, okay, let's not do anything now. Let's just knock on the door and give them uh, uh, let them know that people can hear so that they stop. And then next morning, maybe we will send someone. No, we
yes,
shouldn't talk to the police because we don't want to get involved. But next
absolutely.
morning, we can send someone. The problem that happens is next morning when you send someone, uh, the woman is not forthcoming anymore. Either she is shut down, she is battered at that point, or it's going through the cycle of that other phase. Like maybe the sorry has happened, and then real risk to the life of the woman can happen. So just to elaborate a little bit more in terms of, okay, so if you do hear that something that is happening is, and then the other challenge that we firsthand felt is many times when we hear noises which are very, very disturbing, and we try to call the helplines, no one picks up
Mm.
on the helplines. Like they're probably for the right reasons, everyone is stretched thin, they're not appropriately staffed or whatever. So at that situation where you say you have knocked on the neighbor's door and you have told them, hey, do you need any help? And the men and women both have said no, but you can obviously see that something terrible is happening and you're hearing a lot of noises. What would you say people should do?
Yeah, as you said, maybe the door will be closed, Tanu. It's not. I'm not saying it will be a dramatic thing and they will accept. But what I try to do is left my card with them, gave my number with them, or left a toll-free number with them later on. And you will not believe, after 3 months, 6 months, 2 years also, there were people who said, "Thank you for coming up on that day, but I took the courage only after 6 months or 2 years." And another thing also, Tanu, is maybe on the face of us, I mean, at that point of the time, the woman might say, "Why did you come and why are you interfering?" But some of them will definitely appreciate in their heart that someone cares for me. And that
Yeah.
can't be shown in data and published anywhere, but many feel at least someone cares. I mean, people care if I live or die or I cry. So
Yeah.
at least that encourages them to take help somewhere. And maybe when you're walking or you're alone in the apartment, wherever, in a gathering, they would try to just come and start off a small conversation. And we're able to see that women were able to take help, go to the police, some of them, and the rest of them, as I said, they have come in private and said thank you, but that day I could not talk about it.
Yeah.
And here Pearl went as a neighbor. She did not go as a representative of my choices. So when a couple of incidences that happened in her neighborhood, they didn't know that she was working for an organization. She just went in as a neighbor and really gave her a number and just said, whenever you want, just call me. And today that lady is out of abusive
Yes.
relationship.
And I want to add to what Archie said is, I think at that time I said, I remember that statement saying, yeah, I came as a responsible person just to be with you. I mean, for tomorrow, if I have a problem, won't you guys come and help me?
Yep.
And that changed the narrative a little bit. And definitely it did happen that I was in trouble one day and they did come and help me. Nobody was there in the apartment and they came and helped me. That
Okay.
man
Thank
came
you.
and helped me.
Thank you. We did definitely learn a lot. Just a few things I would like to leave everyone with is, first of all, I think we should all be very, very cognizant and very aware of our neighbors, of what is going on around us, with women, with children, and even with men. Now, I should mention that there is an organization here in Phoenix, Arizona, for South Asians for Safe Family, and it is amazing from what I learned from them on how common this is in households where you think this is impossible. You will see the men and women outside, and so don't, we often assume that, okay, this is what it looks like and this is what it is, this cannot be, and that's why we should not interfere. But I think that what you said, as humans, as working for this cause, for the broader cause of prevention and long-term relief, and also for immediately assisting the woman and saving lives, we should be cognizant and interfere. Now, where can people find your resources? Where can, if you want to just, do you have a website where people can go look up more about this?
Yes, we do. They can look up our website, which is www.mychoicesfoundation.org. We, in fact, have a quiz there. It's just called "Are You in a Healthy Relationship?" To know, take the quiz, and it's a beautiful quiz that anyone can take just to know how their relationship is, and it will also give them an outcome of their quiz to know whether they are in the red zone, amber, or green, and we also have our numbers there, but we have two numbers that people can reach us on. One is through SMS or WhatsApp, which is a local mobile number, which is 933404141. And we have a toll-free number that people can reach us on and leave a voice message. And within 24 hours, one of our representatives will reach out to them. And that is 1-800-212-9131. So these are the places. And they can also write us an email, info@mychoicesfoundation.org.
Okay, fantastic. I think Archana, Pearl, it was very, very good talking to you guys. Anything you want to add last moment before we end this call?
Maybe I would like to say no woman deserves abuse. And there is no reason or can be justified for abuse. And women should seek help, maybe not whenever they are comfortable. I mean, it's not a hard and fast rule, but if you could reach out at the earliest, it would be beneficial
To you and your family.
you. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you very much. It was fantastic talking
you,
to
Tanu.
you all.
Yeah,
Keep up the
pleasure
good
too.
work.
Thank
Yeah.
you for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.